Hey everybody, it is Bridget here from Bridget's little Hawaiian kitchen. It is day four of our healthy, locally inspired Hawaiian cooking classes. Today is such a wonderful opportunity for us because we've had 3 savory dishes, so today we're going to do a wonderful sweet dish, and yes, it is definitely iconic. It is probably one of the most well-known desserts, apart from malasadas. If you've ever been to Hawaii, you may have experienced a malasada, which is a deep fried donut, and as much as I adore malasadas, they are a little bit tougher to healthify, so I have decided to go with today a chocolate Haupia pie, which has been made extremely famous from a bakery right here in Oahu, and that bakery is called Ted's Bakery. It's in the North Shore in this gorgeous little historic surfing town of Haleiwa. It's also got an outlet very close to Sunset Beach for anyone who has been to the North Shore of Oahu, and you know that's where the surfers congregate with the big wave surfers in Pipeline, Sunset Beach, Haleiwa, all along that North Shore coastline. And Ted's Bakery have been creating chocolate Haupia pie for many decades, and people will drive all the way to the North Shore just to have this chocolate Haupia pie. So that is going to be our cooking class today. If you are joining me for the first time here with me doing a cooking class, please let me know where you're coming from, whereabouts in the world you currently are. If you're joining me quite regularly, let me know where you're coming from. Please stop by and say hi. I would love to see all your beautiful faces so I know where everyone's coming from. So today's classes are saying chocolate Haupia pie, made famous from Ted's Bakery. Now Haupia is a very classic dish here in the islands, and it's been eaten for centuries by the Polynesians, and it's literally to sort of, I suppose, to break it down, it's like a gelatinous coconut mixture. And Haupia, if you go to a more of a traditional luau or a Hawaiian gathering, you'll get Haupia, and it is like a as I was saying, it's quite a thick square, a gelatinous square they usually cut it into, and it's just the set coconut. And they traditionally were setting it with a root starch that's quite common here in the islands. But now, just to make things a little bit easier, because it's harder to get that root starch, you'll find people making the coconut mixture or the Haupia from cornstarch or arrowroot or tapioca or something like that. So Haupia is this traditional gelatinous set dessert that's usually cut into a square, and everyone gets one square as their dessert. But with the chocolate Haupia pie, we're going to do 2 layers, one of coconut, one of chocolate. We're going to be setting it in a lovely little pie crust as well, and then we're going to be topping it with a wonderful whipped mixture on top. So there's a few different things that we need to do in order to create this pie, but let me tell you, it's really simple to make and it's really delicious to eat. So let's go inside to my kitchen. Last day, this is our last day here in our beautiful cottage. I'm sitting out under the lanai, just enjoying. I can hear the waves. Just to the left of me is the ocean, but I'm just sitting out here enjoying the last day, the very last day before we fly back to Australia. But in saying that, I'm absolutely 100% looking forward to going home and spending some time with the family, and also just enough travel for now. I think it's time to put our feet down and plant our feet for a couple of months, definitely. So hello to Tracy for joining us, also to Laurel, kia ora ana, Laurel, and the beautiful Emma. Hello Emma, good to see you as well. Thank you ladies for joining me today for my last class. And it is, it's like I always say this when I travel, it is so bitter sweet. It's like a really good dark chocolate. It's bittersweet. As much as I love traveling and I love meeting new people and tasting new foods and trying new cuisines, there is nothing like going home, and even more so knowing that our kids are back home, they're with their grandparents, they're very, very well, but I'm really looking forward to being home. And hi to Stefan as well. Kia ora to Stefan for joining us on today's last class, Bridget's Hawaiian Kitchen. But let's go inside. I think I'm getting bitten by, there's one mosquito. There's a little mozzie vampire. It's hanging around my leg. So let's go inside for our final episode. A final episode from our little cottage here in Waimanalo. If you are interested in hiring this little cottage, please feel free. I think if Mahei is listening, I'm hoping he is, he's in the bedroom listening, he will put up a link. He will try and find a link for you guys, because if you ever do travel to Hawaii and there's sort of 2 to 4 of you, or 1 to 4 of you, this is the perfect little cottage to stay in, because you're right across the road from the beach. And no, I'm not being sponsored to say that. I have paid to stay here, but it's the most wonderful family that we're staying with. They're really gorgeous, and this is their part of their home, and they really do make you feel so at home. And it's such a beautiful location. So Mahei, I'm hoping we'll be able to set it up for you guys so you can see the link for the cottage, to hire the cottage, and it is 100% worth every single cent you're going to pay for this. So come on down to my bench, let me set you up. Can we see? Yes, we can. Fantastic, fantastic. You'll notice that today's t-shirt, although backwards, says I'll just have a salad, which is sometimes what I have to do when I eat out. I'll look at a menu and I'll be like, there's nothing on here I can eat, so I literally just order a salad, but I always say dressing on the side. So that's kind of my life. I'll just have a salad, depending on where I'm eating. But to the chocolate Haupia pie. So as I was saying, we're going to do 2 layers here. Well, it's going to start with the crust. The crust is really simple to do, by the way. Completely simple. I'm just going to melt the coconut oil that I have here, because that's going to help to bind our crust. So I'm going to melt that in the microwave, just for a couple of seconds. So we're going to start with a crust. And the crust you can make out of pretty much any one of my healthy, gluten-free, sugar-free cookies or biscuits. You can use any of those things. I didn't have time and all the resources to bake my own biscuits, so I actually found some at the supermarket that are gluten-free and sugar-free as well. So you can purchase yours, but you know, if you've got time to make your own, absolutely. And it is a pie crust, so the best way to do that when it comes to a pie crust is just use cookies, because they're lovely and crunchy, and very much like a cheesecake base, I suppose, is what we're doing here. Traditionally, the Ted's Bakery one is a flaky pastry, but this works just as well. So got my little cookies there, which is fantastic. Melted my coconut oil. Just briefly, just melted my coconut oil. You can, of course, use coconut oil to bind the crust together, but you could also use a really good grass-fed butter as well. If you're not completely dairy-free, there's nothing stopping you from using a grass-fed butter, a good quality butter. But if you are dairy-free, then the coconut oil is going to work really, really well for you. And because this is a Haupia pie, which is basically a coconut pie, it kind of all works in together, that your crust has also got that lovely little bit of coconut oil through there as well. And as we know, coconut oil and good grass-fed butter are healthy fats. So we can have a little bit of healthy fats in our diet. So the best way to make the crust, well, the easiest way, especially if you're on holiday and you don't have all your gadgets, in the kitchen, grab yourself up a little bag, throw your cookies into the bag. I've got 100 grams, which is about 3.5 ounces of cookies here, or crackers, sweet crackers, gluten-free, of course. Make sure that you close the bag, really important, that's got a little seal on it. You could also do this in the food processor if you do have all your gadgets. But this is a nice, easy way. And then all you literally want to do is just give it a little bit of a crunch. You can also, use something heavy like that and give it a bit of a whack. A rolling pin works just as well, and you kind of roll back and forward, or throw it in the food processor and blitz it until it resembles nice fine crumbs is what you're looking for. Alright, something like that, yeah? Just like that. Easy, huh? Easy peasy. Alright, So once we're at this stage, I would then suggest that you add a little spice into here. You could put a bit of cinnamon. I'm just thinking like half a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of mixed spice. Also works well. I'm going to bring you closer. I realise you're too far away from me again. Come closer. There we go. All right. Some mixed spice, just half a teaspoon of your favourite spice. You can put a bit of nutmeg through there. All those flavours work really, really well with coconut. So go for it when it comes to spices. I don't have any spices, so I'm just telling you, you could totally add a little bit of spice. And this becomes a really nice pie crust or biscuit base for anything sort of pie-like and healthy that you might like to make. So it's quite nice. So just like that. And then we're going to go to our coconut oil, and I'm going to grab myself a new bowl, because it's definitely easier to make the pie crust in a bowl as opposed to in your bag. The bag now has got a hole in it, so I've got to put in the rubbish. And you just want to start to add, you know, a tablespoon at a time of the melted coconut oil. I'm going to start with 2 tablespoons. And I'm going to give it a bit of a mix. Now the reason why I'm not giving you exact quantities for how much oil, coconut oil or butter to use, is because it all depends how thirsty your biscuits are. I do find that depending on the type of biscuit, homemade ones tend to take less butter or oil, whereas the ones in the store tend to be quite drier, and so you might find you have to add like an extra tablespoon or 2. So I'm adding 4 tablespoons of my coconut oil in here, but as I was saying, you work that as you see fit, and it's really about the consistency that you're looking for. Now you want the base to be pliable enough and moist enough that you're able to stick it together. You see what I've done at the top there? It's quite firm. That means that when this goes into the fridge, it's going to set like a really nice base or crust. If it's too dry, it'll crumble. If it's too wet, it'll be like cutting through. It'll be like cutting through a piece of cardboard or a chopping board, because it'll be too firm. Because as you know, once the coconut oil or the butter cools, it hardens. So it is a bit of a fine line. But what you are looking for, and this is the perfect consistency, is your ability to be able to squish it down with your spoon, and you get to form this really nice solid base. So it's now at the perfect consistency, and as I said, I had to add 4 tablespoons of the coconut oil in there, but depending on the type of biscuits you're using, you'll be adding anywhere between probably 2 to 4 tablespoons of your chosen oil or butter. So now that we're at that point, I would traditionally make a pie in a big pie tin, like this type of thing. Yeah, and these ingredients will make enough for a pie this big. That'll probably get you about 6 portions. But because I don't have any baking paper, I don't have any baking paper here in my little kitchen, but what I did find in the pantry was these little party liners, like muffin case liners. They're going to work just as well. So I've got myself just a 6 cup muffin case. I'm going to add my little liners. If you ideally, like I said, you use a whole big pie and you line it with baking paper, non-stick baking paper. But I don't have any, so I'm improvising. I love the color. I figure, why the heck not, right? That's just perfect. And hi to Ruhi, Morena, Ruhi. Morena, thank you for joining me today on our last little kitchen. All right, so I've lined my little muffin holes there with my cute little paper lining cases, and what we want to do now is we want to make the crust, or we want to fill the crust into the holes. So add a couple of tablespoons if you're making individuals, and this will make you either 1 big pie or 6 to 8 small ones like I'm doing. So you're adding about a tablespoon into each of the holes, and then once you've added those tablespoons in, it's a matter, and I would then move on. If you're making individuals, I'll probably move on to a teaspoon next. And you're just going to go and squash everything down. And this becomes your base. And it's really easy. And the reason you're using a teaspoon, it just gets into the muffin case a lot easier. I'll show you guys what it looks like in a second. Give it a good squish down. You've got to compress it. Really important that you compress it down because you don't want a crumbly base, right? You want your base to be firm once you take the pie out. So really important that you compress everything down. You could also, you know what you could do, actually come to think of it, you could do a deconstructed pie as well, which would be really, really cool. And you not only do you have it as a base, and I love biscuit bases. I think it's one of my favorite parts about having a cheesecake is the biscuit base. So there's nothing stopping you from actually making a deconstructed pie like this. And you could use the biscuit base as a topping as well, which is actually what we're going to do because I've got quite a bit left over. So that goes in. You could add a bit more if you wanted to of each, like another half tablespoon each into this if you do like the biscuit base. But look, I'll leave that up to you guys. If you're making a full pie, you'll find that you probably use all that up because it just spreads out a little bit more, doesn't it? So, but this way, just so we've got enough room to add the filling, I'm just going to go with 1 tablespoon of each. And this is what it kind of looks like in the end. Lovely and compressed. Perfect. Little compressed crust that we have there. I'm going to put it in the fridge just to start to set. Remember, as soon as butter goes into a cold environment or oil, it goes hard. So it's perfect. So I'm just going to set that in the fridge to start hardening up for us. I'm going to leave that topping for, that crust leftovers for the topping for later. And we're going to think about creating the Haupia or the filling for our pie. It is super, super easy to make. Like so super easy to make. Of course it's dairy free and it's sugar free and it's gluten free because that's just how we do things. And so this type of treat is going to be really good for you if you are cutting all those 3 things out for whatever the reasons may be. Maybe it's weight loss, maybe it's diabetes, maybe it's, you know, all those number of illnesses, heart disease, high blood pressure and all that sort of stuff. This is going to look after you. And of course we're using healthy fats. So I'm using here to make the filling, I'm using 1 can, which is 400 mils or 13.5 fluid ounces of coconut milk goes into my little pot. I'm going to be turning my oven on to about medium to high in the middle there. I'm also going to be adding in the sweetener. Now the sweetener that I'm using here today is a combination of 2. I have 50 grams of inulin and I also have 50 grams of erythritol, which is a natural sweetener. You can also use xylitol, you can use monk fruit sweetener, you can use the Sirkin sugar replacement, because what I like about all of these is they're 0 calories, they won't spike your insulin levels and they won't raise your blood glucose as well. So 50 grams of inulin powder, which of course you need to get from me from Pure Inulin or pureasinulin.com, and then I've got 50 grams of an alternative sweetener. You could use, as I was saying, xylitol, erythritol, or monk fruit sweetener, or you could also use the ones from Sirkin as well. They have some good sweeteners. So 50 grams of each goes into our coconut milk. I'm going to give that just a little bit of a whisk. I'm going to pop that onto the heat here. And as well as that, we also want to add the gelatinous quality to it. As I was saying, traditionally, the Haupia was made using a fibrous root that is readily, or quite common here in the islands. But for ease of you guys trying to find that particular product, I am going to use today tapioca starch or tapioca flour. You could also use arrowroot in the same quantities as this. And we are adding into here 40 grams of tapioca. So that is going to give us a very gelatinous mixture, which is exactly what we want. So that goes straight into our pot. Once again, get my little whisk and give it a little mix through. You just want to make sure that all the lumps have been removed from this mixture. And now it kind of becomes, I'm not going to say a waiting game, but a look and see game. Because you want to start to heat it up. Really important. But what I'm looking for is it to be heat it up, but not to be completely thick, because I'm going to be, remember, turning this into 2 separate layers. I'm going to do a chocolate layer and a coconut layer for our pie. So I'm just giving a bit of a whisk together, keeping an eye on it, having a bit of a taste. Tastes lovely, and because of our inulin, it is now a prebiotic as well as being a probiotic, so it's really, really good for our gut health, which is great. And we have to look after our health, even more so than we were currently looking after our health. Now we have to look after our health. And one of the things that Mahi and I are going to be doing once we get back to Australia, so we fly back home tomorrow, we land in Australia late Friday evening and in Sydney, and then on Monday we're going to be starting, hopefully with anyone who wants to join us, we're going to be starting our 28-day gut fast plan. So it's my second meal plan that I have created, the first one being the 28-day meal plan, which is like your starter. If you've done that before and you would like to do the gut fast plan, Mahi and I are going to be starting that on Monday with our community. We've already roped in some people here in Hawaii who are going to be joining us, and you know who you are if you're watching. You're going to be joining us for the gut fast plan. But I just think that now, as I was saying, now more so than ever, we have to be really mindful of looking after our health. It is so, so important that we stay on top of it. We stay on top of our immune system. We reinforce and we boost our immune system with all the foods that we're eating. And you know, if you want to join us on Monday to be part of the gut fast meal plan, we're going to all do it together for the following 28 days. I think it's a really great opportunity for us to enhance our health even further than we currently are. It's just, I'm not panicking, but I am completely mindful of everything that's happening around us in all different countries throughout the world. It's been really noticeable being away from home, watching the news with what's happening back home in Australia and New Zealand, but also the response that I've seen here in the United States, which has been a little bit scary as well. So I am greatly looking forward to being back home, not traveling for a bit. You know, Mahi and I have been traveling for a long time. It's now time to just stop and just be at home with the family, look after our health, make sure that our family is safe as well. I'm sure you guys are all feeling very similar to how Mahi and I are feeling. So what I have now here in my little pot, and it's funny when I think about people stocking up, you know, on toilet paper and stuff like that, I'm like, I'm going to be stocking up on all the healthy food. As soon as I get back, I'm going to go and buy it all. Not all of it. I'm going to save some. I'm going to be very responsible in my purchasing, but I'm going to make sure that I've got stuff just in case. Just in case, you know, something we have to be quarantined or anything like that. So I have now a slightly thick, let me show you with this, a slightly thicker cream now. It's almost like a custard. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for that custard consistency. Like you would stop. If that was a custard, you would stop now. It would continue to thicken just a little bit as you're going. But that is the consistency you are currently looking for. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take half of the mixture. I'm just going to put it into this little jug. I will come back to it. Don't worry. I will come back and see it later. Half of the mixture goes in there, and then I leave another half in the pot. That mixture then goes on, back onto the heat, and I'm going to continue to heat that through till it's like an extremely thick custard. I'll show you why in a second. Remember, we're making 2 layers. This is going to be my coconut layer. This one here is going to be my chocolate layer. And I'll show you how that works. So even after just a couple of seconds back on, look, I haven't touched the temperature at all. I've just kept it at that medium to high. But I've watched it, you know. Even though I'm talking to you guys, I'm watching. I'm being aware. I'm being present with my cooking, because this will thicken very fast for you. And already, look at that. Already it's thick. After not even a minute back on the heat, we now have a very thick product that only takes seconds. Yeah. Very thick product. That's perfect. That is my coconut layer done. So, back into my fridge. I'm going to grab up my little pie crust, looking very delicious and very good. And then I'm just going to, as evenly as possible, as evenly as I can, I'm going to separate, I'm going to portion out the coconut layer. Goes on first. So depending on what you're doing, it'll be easier if you're just doing one big pie. If you're not doing one big pie and you're like me and you like the idea of doing the individuals, which are super cute by the way, but definitely don't use pastry, don't use these muffin liners. Use baking paper, non-stick baking paper. It's just going to be easier to get the little individual pies out once you're done. So that is good. I've had a tablespoon of each. It's the best way to portion things out to make sure everyone gets the same amount. And now I'm going to add another half tablespoon of each. Go in there. Oh, love that scrapey noise. No, I don't. I was lying. I can't stand that scrapey noise. I need to start traveling with my own plastic spatula, I've realised, but that's okay. That'll be next time. All right. Done. Coconut layer done. Easy, right? Back into, but this time the freezer, because I want it to cool really fast. So into the freezer, okay. Let's work on the chocolate layer. Chocolate layer is simple. We're using the same pot. We're tipping in that other mixture, pretending we have a plastic spatula to get it all out. But that's okay if we don't. Right, that's done. Back onto the heat. I am turning it down this time, medium. But this time I'm going to be adding in the chocolate, and I am using, and I was just so, sorry a second. I was so excited that I found these. These are sugar-free, dairy-free chocolate buttons that I found here in Hawaii. Dark chocolate too, bitter chocolate, which I love. We don't have to have a sweet chocolate here. In fact, my vegan chocolate that I've made before works perfectly in this, because as you know, it's dairy-free, sugar-free, gluten-free, and it's dark chocolate. So that works really well, but I found these and I was so excited to find them because they are going to go into the chocolate part of our mixture. So I'm adding in 60 grams of dark chocolate, sugar-free, gluten-free, dairy-free chocolate goes in there. A couple more for luck. Yeah. Back onto the heat. I've got this on medium, and now all I'm doing, because the mixture's quite, obviously still quite warm, the chocolate instantly starts to melt. I wish I could show you what's happening, but basically I'm getting a chocolate mixture that's coming through now. You don't want to do this on too high of a heat because you don't want to burn the chocolate. That's why I turn everything down to medium. But you've got enough buffer zone from the filling that's already in there from the Haupia that you're not going to burn your chocolate, provided you stay present. You know, you don't go off and have a phone call or, you know, hang out the washing. Now's the time to be present. It doesn't take long. It thickens really quickly. The chocolate melts really quickly, and you are left with the chocolate portion of your Haupia pie. Well, the important sort of, I suppose, layer, considering it is a chocolate Haupia pie, and it's now time to make the final layer. Easy, right? I know, so easy. Alright, back over here. Let's now portion out the chocolate layer. Remember, if you're when you make this, you're gonna be like, wow, it's really gelatinous. That is what Haupia is. Yeah? So don't think you've done anything wrong. This is what it's like. It is a very gelatinous, traditional style pie. That has been eaten, as I was saying, without the chocolate. It was just the coconut layer, and it was so gelatinous that they could cut it into squares. They would cut it up before they would serve it. So being so gelatinous, the texture, I wouldn't say it's like jelly, because jelly tends to be even firmer still. It's got a bit of a bite through it, but it is quite a gelatinous experience. So don't think you're getting it wrong. Just remember, you are making something very traditional and very wonderful. And look at that. I actually managed to portion it out really, really well. I'm so impressed with myself. I didn't know whether I'd had enough of each layer. But I do, which is really exciting. And it comes right up. This is the perfect way to portion it, because you get the perfect 6 portions. No one's going to fight. Everyone's got their own little mini pies, which is super, super cute. But I still love the idea of having the really big pie and then cutting into it. And you will get 6 wonderful portions out of that pie if you make a whole one as well. So last little bits scraping out of the pie, or of the pot. Who needs a bit more? Or you look like you need a bit more. So do you. Don't want to have anyone miss out. Okay, cool. It's looking wonderful. It's looking exactly how it should look. So once again, we're going to go back to the freezer because it just speeds up the cooling process, yeah? And just give it a bit of a tap down just to make sure everything's even. Let's go back to the freezer. And that would now stay in the freezer probably for a good 10 minutes before you do the final topping. Or what you could do is you could leave it in the fridge for a couple of hours to cool it before you top it. Some people kind of stop there. They actually don't top it with the final layer, but I quite like the final layer because it gives, once again, another texture. So we've got that gelatinous quality of the chocolate layer and the coconut layer. We have the pie, the crunchy pie crust down the bottom, so you break into it like a cheesecake, which is just wonderful. And the last stage, which you can do or you don't have to do, is the creamy layered top. Now there's two ways that you could do this creamy layered top. The first and the most logical way of doing it is using coconut cream. And I was very excited to see that there is coconut cream in a can that you can get now, but that was in LA. We're in LA a few days. I haven't seen it here in Hawaii. I've definitely not seen it in Australia. So if you can get a coconut cream in a can, like whipped cream but with coconut, so dairy free. If not, you got to make your own, but it's actually really easy to do. So in my fridge overnight, so you do have to be a little bit organized when it comes to making your own coconut cream, as in whipped coconut cream. Overnight I have placed my tin of coconut cream in the fridge, and what has happened with that overnight process, which is very, very cool, is we have achieved basically thick set cream. Yeah, thick set cream. So I'm just going to pop that into a bowl, that thick set cream, just like that. Look at that. And all I'm doing is just very carefully siphoning off the thick cream part, which is what happens when you put your can of coconut cream into the fridge overnight. And you notice I took it out of the fridge really carefully. I don't want to redistribute what has happened in here overnight. So what happens is, as you know, with coconut oil, the coconut oil hardens when it gets cold. Well, coconut cream has the same type of process. It doesn't go as hard as coconut oil, but it does. What happens is the thicker stuff, the coconut fat, rises to the top, and then the coconut water or liquid part sinks down to the bottom. So you have this almost perfect separation of thick stuff that you can use to whip and watery stuff that you can use for a curry or something like that. So don't throw it away, but you'll know, you see I'm still spooning out really like whipped cream style thick coconut creams coming out. And yes, you do have to use a good quality coconut cream to get this type of separation happening. Some of the lesser quality brands, I notice you don't get very much of the thick coconut cream at all on the top. It is just like a thin layer. Whereas I have extracted down already, I'm just doing a little bit more. Probably that's as far as I can go because the rest is literally, you can see it's all water. I've probably gotten down to about there, which is not too bad. So I've gotten about 2/3 of the can is this thick whipped stuff, and the rest I'm going to put into a plastic container. Well, I would if I wasn't going home tomorrow. I would put this into a plastic container, and then I would save that for a curry or put it through a soup or something like that, because we don't want to waste it, right? That's gorgeous stuff there. But we just want to use what's in here. So if you were using coconut cream as your topping for your pie, you would then, after you've extracted as much cream out of it as possible, if it doesn't seem as thick as what I have, you can thicken it up even further by grabbing up your whisk and just giving it a quick mix, just like you would do whipped cream, or you can definitely use an electric one. I would totally recommend using an electric one if you have it, and just keep on running your whisk or your electric whisk through the mixture until it thickens like whipped cream. And you'll notice, because you'll just see it going thicker and thicker and thicker. So that's what you can absolutely do, just to thicken it up even more so it looks like whipped cream. The other thing that I suggest you do as well is you add a bit of sweetener to it. Now, my favorite sweetener to go through coconut cream to make that whipped coconut cream is inulin. So for a can, and this once again, I probably extracted about 300 grams of the coconut, the thick coconut cream off there. You want to add a tablespoon to 1.5 tablespoons of inulin. But rule of thumb, because every coconut cream tastes different, add your inulin, whisk it, taste it. If you still want to add a bit more sweetener, add a bit more. You don't kind of want to go over 2 to 3 tablespoons maximum, because remember, inulin is a dietary fiber. So it may, if you in excess, even though you're still, there's 6 portions, so it's not so bad, but in excess it can have some very negative effects on you. So just be aware that it's a prebiotic dietary fiber. The other alternative is you can add a sweetener like xylitol, or the Sirkin sweetener as well, if you don't want to add inulin, but I suggest you do, because we're just making it a prebiotic. And I find the inulin to be really gentle in taste as well, which is wonderful. So that's how you do the coconut portion. The other way you can do it, and this is the traditional way once again, the traditional way of how Ted's Bakery does it is they use whipped cream. So I have in here an organic cream that I bought straight from the farm, which was really cool. So I thought, look, you know what? I can handle a little bit of dairy, not too much. I think this is a good opportunity to have a bit of dairy. So I just have my cream already whipped, just like normal. I'm going to add my little bit of inulin. It's going to go in there, not too much. I'm probably going to add about, probably not a good idea. I don't know why I used my fingers just then. That was not a good idea, because now I've got inulin all over me. It's not such a bad thing, but I've got inulin. Okay, I'll just sprinkle. I'm going to add about 1.5 tablespoons of inulin. It's going to go in there. Back to my little whisk. You know, if you wanted to, because the coconut cream can be pretty full-on coconut flavour, and you've already got a lot of flavour happening in the pie from the Haupia, is what you could do, just to lessen the dairy quantity in your pie, is you could do a half and half. Half whipped cream, half coconut cream. That's really gonna bring down the full-on flavour of the coconut cream and make it a little bit more, not so powerful. And then you get still, cream's a really good fat, especially if you're using a really good quality cream. Just not too much, I find, when it comes to dairy, not too much. So I'm just whipping it up, making it a little bit firmer, because what we want it to do, once it goes onto the top of the pie, is we want it to be, to hold its shape really, really nicely, which is what we're looking for. Now, ideally, you don't top this, remember, until your pie's cool. I don't expect you guys to wait for that. So I am going to top it. It might melt, but that's okay. We'll be fine, I reckon. I'll just top one so you can see what one looks like. I'll just do the one. All right, perfect. So we've got the whisk holding up its shape in the cream, which is what we want. When we do that, it's just holding on to the whisk, which is good. It means it's nice and thick. You could add a bit of vanilla to that if you wanted to. If you just wanted to, vanilla and coconut goes really well together. Back to our freezer. Already, it's really well set in here. It's like really, really well set, which is what you want. I'm just going to show you how to finish it off. We're just, like I said, we're just going to finish off one, and then I'll finish off the rest later on when they're completely cold. Grab myself up a nice clean spoon. And then taking my cream, we're just going to top our pie, this wonderful inulin sweetened cream. Make sure you smooth it out just a little bit. Just a little bit. It looks good already, right? You're like, oh, it's pie. Bridget's made pie. Yes. Okay, just like that. Feel free to keep some chocolate aside, so you can do a little bit of grated chocolate on top, which is very cute and very much how Ted's Bakery does it as well, because they have a little bit of the grated chocolate on top, and it looks super, 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 super cute. And remember, we were talking about it being kind of this deconstructed this deconstructed quality to our chocolate Haupia pie is just a few of those little biscuit crumbles can go on top as well. And then what you can do is just very lightly cover it with a little bit of cling film, just very lightly. You don't want to cover it too hard or else it's just going to mess up the top of your little pie. And you want to set that back into the fridge, that one there. You want to set that back into the fridge for about half an hour before you serve. So that is it. That is, I know, right? I can't wait to try it. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to leave these ones. I don't want to top them now, just in case they melt my cream. And I'm going to leave that to set in the fridge for a couple of hours till it's fully set and cold, and then top it with the cream, and then another half an hour, and you have your own version of the famous, most iconic chocolate and Haupia pie from Ted's Bakery on the North Shore of Oahu. Enjoy this gorgeous little treat. Enjoy, and thank you. If you have joined me for every episode of Bridget's Little Hawaiian Kitchen, I just want to give you a big, wonderful thank you for joining me. I hope you have gained some knowledge. I hope you have experienced a little taste of Hawaii and what is available here, and also how we can healthify this amazing food and this amazing island of beautiful, beautiful souls, beautiful people, and just gorgeous flavors. So thank you for joining me. Tomorrow we've got our Q&A Fridays. I'll be doing that from the airport, so it'll be a real early one. I'm probably thinking that the Q&A will happen at around about 7 a.m. Sydney time, which will be 10 a.m. Hawaiian time, before we board our plane to come back home. Otherwise it'll be very late at night by the time we do it. So we're going to do it tomorrow morning very early. Don't worry if you're not there at 7 a.m. to watch it. Just watch it on replay. Replays will be available. You can watch it anytime you want. Tomorrow we're going to deep dive once again into what's happening with COVID-19 and how we can ensure that we are in the best possible health, to make sure that we're as healthy as possible, that we can beat off any type of virus that comes our way, and also look after our family at the same time. So that's tomorrow from the airport in Honolulu. I hope you can join me for tomorrow's Q&A. If you've got any more questions you'd like answered, please let us know. Either leave it in our Facebook group, Bridget's Healthy Kitchen Family. Leave your questions there. I'll take some notes today, and then I'll make sure to answer your questions tomorrow from our very final trip here, our final day here in Hawaii, which will be coming to you live from the airport, and then I'll be back in Sydney. Exciting. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. As I said, I hope you have enjoyed these episodes. I've enjoyed bringing them to you. I've had so much fun. I've eaten some amazing food too, by the way. If you haven't watched all the episodes, go back onto Bridget's Healthy Kitchen on Facebook, and go and click on videos, and you'll see all the videos of all the 4 classes that we've done here from Bridget's Little Hawaiian Kitchen. All right, guys, love you. We'll see you soon. I can't wait to be back on this gorgeous island. Leaving now, but happy to go home, but don't want to go, it's tough. All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.